Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4 with the New Order, Last Days of Your Pass. State Guangdong. Now, in the last video, we officially elected a Mr. Matsushita Masaharu to the office. And I don't think we got a chance to read any of the info up until now on this side, because I think he just got elected to this last video, so we can go ahead and check him out, the Ascendant Heir. To many, Matsushita Masaharu has led a charmed life, an anointed heir to one of Japan's most prominent electronics firms. Born to the peerage and elite graduate of Tokyo Imperial University, Masaharu gave up his career as a financier in Mitsui Bank to marry the daughter of Matsushita Electric's founder, Matsushita Konosuke, a living legend for his rise from elementary school dropout to one of Japan's few non-zaibatsu corporate titans. Matsushita Sr. leads the company from Osaka. Masaharu has been its operational head since 1960, overseeing expansion into China from his offices in Koshu. As the son of its founder, serving as both corporate executive and government administrator, it would seem that Masaharu has no reason to fear for his future, but his close acquaintances know otherwise. Just got a bunch of snaps, dang. Anyway. Neither an engineer by training nor salesman by habit, Masaharu is keenly aware of his outsider status within both Matsushita and Guangdong. For every passing year, the two Matsushitas grow apart, with Masaharu wondering when he will ever be entrusted with the reins, if at all, while navigating a political tightrope in the Legislative Council. Now, as Guangdong's chief executive, he has this opportunity to show his detractors, his tycoon colleagues, and his own adoptive father amongst them, that he is everything he promised he would be. Building a literal empire for Matsushita in the Pearl River Delta. Is Tabby taking power? Let me check. Shafarvik has. But it's still... I think this is going to be the path where Shafi will take control. Or Tabby will take control, rather. If I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look at some of these other guys. Gonna read them all, I think just right now, just because I realize that it's gonna be a lot of catching up I have to do on parts, because I'm at 15 parts. This is part number 16, and we just made it to Masaharu, and we made it 2 years into the game. So we're gonna go and read Masaru. Second monk equals. As Guangdong Chief Secretary, Buka's appointment of second highest position in the civil government should represent a triumph. A reassertion of the corporate faction's authority in the Legislative Council, with Matsushita as its head, for Buka by his side, and Itachi's Komai waiting in the wings. While the development of a corporate faction is a welcome development, only a fool would think of Buka is satisfied by this arrangement. Despite having the chief executive's position not slip through his fingertips, Buka has not abandoned his desire to see Guangdong become a vanguard of Silicon Revolution to the world. To this extent, by which he can bring said revolution about through the ear of Chief Executive Matsushita, he will do so, for although he has no love for menial minds in the positions of power, he concedes that they do have their uses. Next we have Akio, the counterweight. For Morita Akio, being in captain position of external secretary under Chief Executive Matsushita is a consolidation prize, an example of how he failed to seize his moment. With the corporate faction once again outnumbering he and Li Kai-shing's state faction of the Legislative Council, Morita knows that once again he's condemned to serve in the role of eternal opposition. It could be worse. He could have been shut out of the chief executive's cabinet, as was the case before Yasuda's fall. Morita wouldn't have been kept on without being of some use. No doubt to be a counterweight to Buka Masaru Fujitsu. So be it. Morita knows better than anyone how all-encompassing Ibuka's ambition is, and Matsushita will soon find that Morita is a far better confidant than Ibuka could ever be. Then we have Yokoi Hideki, Guangdong's fixer. Rugged industrialist, vulture capitalist, underhanded entrepreneur, Yokoi Hideki's reputation is as large as the portfolio of business interests he manages across the sphere, acquainted in lockstep with Japan's expansion across Asia. Building a fortune selling uniforms to Japanese military during the Second World War, Yokoi leveraged his network of military contracts to purchase liberated European real estates and investment properties in Asia at bargain prices, building a business empire from loot and plunder of conquest. Though Yokoi takes great pain to appear respectable, he's often seen by Japan and Guangdong's business elites as unsophisticated new money. Few dared to say this to his face, however, lest they end up receiving a visit from Yokoi's friends in the Yakuza, and Yokoi understands that their fear works as well as respect in almost every instance. Wonder if in relation to Hideki Tojo. You gotta look that up now. I'm curious now, too. I think Yokoi's his last name. I think Hideki is his first name. Not his last name. So I don't think there is one. I think that's how it works. Anyway, we got Tsushita Kunayasu, the immovable mountain. Tsushita Kunayasu, the new commissioner of Guangdong Police, has his work cut out for him. The police are chronically underfunded, understaffed, and deeply corrupt. A state of decrepitude tactfully acknowledged under previous chief executives who instead prefer to turn to the Kenpai Tai as their instruments of power. Now the chief executive reasserts their authority in Guangdong, they turn to Commissioner Tsushita to get the ball rolling. Competent enforcer and administrator in his own right, Tsushita brings familiarity with both Guangdong's way of doing business and the key figures of corporate elite. A man who can be trusted to keep up with the police and do things their way without being beholden to the IJA or Kenpai Tai. Guangdong shall be brought to order under law and copyright. Tsushita is intimately familiar with both. Well, there we go. We have cautious fiscal health. It's going to be still where we're at. Okay. We have these Silicon years. Guangdong remains forever in flux, even as the dust of the Yasuda collapse settles. We've made a bold promise to our overseas in Tokyo, to our doubters in Nanjing, and our rivals in Hsing, that Guangdong shall eclipse Manchukuo in economic might within this decade. Under the leadership of the 5 companies, Guangdong will move forward and seize its rightful place in the spear. All the while, the visions of a new chief executive, the ambitions of 5 companies, and the struggles of Guangdong's many people will clash violently, churning just beneath the surface. These are the Silicon years, and Guangdong shines as Senko Hanabi does in the dying days of summer, brilliantly and fleetingly. Well, there we go. I'll start the timer, and it's time to start with Chief Executive Matsushita. It is often said that men who are in possession of vast amounts of intellect prefer to avoid the glaring limelight, never taking on the reins of responsibility and authority directly, fearing the sword of Damocles, continually dangling overhead. This saying, though widely applicable, is far from gospel, as evidently demonstrated by Matsushita Masaharu. Cunning and resourceful, he's an exceptionally astute businessman. His entry into power via the puissant Matsushita family may seem like blatant nepotism to the unaware, but his calculating demeanor and pragmatic tendencies have assisted greatly in cementing his position. Now, as the strife of Yasuda crisis casts its ominous and looming shadow over Guangdong, its penumbra extending far and wide, the responsibility of recuperating the shattered ruins of Guangdong's economy and workforce falls squarely on the shoulders of a newly minted chief executive Matsushita. Visions of an efficient industrial powerhouse that was once Guangdong, a never-ending upward struggle to the place benefit above all else, leaving and establishing a stable and illustrious legacy for the success of Guangdong and its everlasting institutions. Manchukuo, more like Manchu cringe. Hey, got him. True, Kev. True. Alright, well. Gonna click here. And we're gonna downsize the Kenpai Tai. And that gives us control in Momai for the police. Excellent, excellent. It's a very narrow hold on control. But what are you going to do? The chief executive sat in his new office, looking over piles of reports, messages, and paperwork. Sifting through the various stacks, their gaze came to rest upon a series of documents detailing Guangdong's elder brother and spear, Manchukuo. The report detailed Manchukuo's path through the chaos of the Yasuda crisis, with disparate factions within the state banding together under the figurehead of Aisian Gyo Puyi. Even now, they claim to be the spear's greatest success, the light that shone the brightest. Such words only filled the chief executive with fire. Suzuki made many mistakes during his tenure, but when it came to Guangdong's relationship with Manchukuo, he had been on the right track. Manchukuo might not be an explicit enemy of Guangdong, more of a rival, but their ways are old, out of touch, and soon to be left in the annals of history. Guangdong stood for a new approach. It innovated and disrupted an economic status quo that was becoming ever too comfortable. Guangdong could finally best Manchukuo economically. It would only serve to vindicate the chief executive and all the great minds like him in Guangdong. A new economic age booms. After setback of Yasuda crisis, the race to reach a higher GDP than the Empire of Manchuria is in full swing. There we go. Well, we're beating them growth-wise and debt-wise. Still have some time to still need to grow our GDP, but we're getting there. We could audit the police. That would help us. And more research. It's been barely a week and Morita's already pressed at least stinky fingerprints all over the government complex. I mean, 10 new Cheongkong names a day on the first floor? As if there weren't someone else's opinion they forgot to ask before turning the whole place upside down. And if by someone else you mean the two of us, I agree. Matsushita chuckled as he downed another plastic cup of jasmine tea. 3, of course, if we're counting Mr. Komai. His voice was cordial, but a look he flashed Komai, seated to his left on the round table, anything but. That would make 3 of us versus Morita and Lee's 2. They might be one company short, yes, but no less dangerous. Yeah, they're bad news. I saw it coming. You saw it coming. What else is new? Buka shrugged as he leaned back in the chair. All that's left to do is for Komai to work his Kenpai Tai magic or whatever. Do whatever he does best, and... Komai, are you listening? Hello? And there Komai and Ichiro sat, oblivious to the clink of plates and spoons around him, eyes frozen on the chopsticks in his right hand, caught between the 2 wooden halves in a roll of flour, wrapped around a serving of mincemeat, and as his fingers squeezed and squeezed, chunks of mince foamed and oozed out from the seams, as did the dark red soy sauce down on the tablecloth below. For all the time I spent in Manchuria, I never got to visit a meat factory, learn how they make the pigs into pork. A shame, really. He raised his hand, meeting Ibuka and Matsushita's befuddled glares. I appreciate our breakfast today together, gentlemen. Hargo, Sumai, Maka Laikao, Chionfang. You wouldn't find these names on a Japanese hotel menu. It really is a treat to try these things out for the first time again. And we all have plenty of firsts in our lives, wouldn't you say? That dude Kamai is a fucking sociopath. I can tell you that already. But our new potential cap of Chinese opinion is higher now. Meanwhile, I think Speer might have the advantage. I hope he does, because I think if Speer wins, we get sell more goods. Komayasu nas path when? That's what I'm asking. Become a worthy successor. Position of chief executive by no means an inconsequential position, and therefore it's undoubtedly an extremely unstable one. In order for chief executive to be able to conduct his performance assiduously and with efficiency, he must first absolve and needs to demonstrate to the Legislative Council that the man who currently holds a position, is no weak-willed lepidus. As such, Matsushita has planned to address the Legislative Council personally, making sure that we cement and reinforce our reputation within the administration. But yeah, if Speer wins, that'll be good. Narcotics, waste paper, loose change. Don't want to know what that sock's for. I swear they're doing this on purpose. Throwing us off a scent, maybe? Asked Ito, himself chucking underwear into a pile of soiled clothes and ripped off shelves. I reckon I've had a few cents too many today. Okay, documents, bills, junk mail, library. Wait, find something? Maybe. Come see this. Look familiar? Same guy who tipped us off in the first place. Her name's different. Matches the name in the books and lease. You telling this guy isn't Japanese? Kawasaki moved his hand through the shelves, landing on another page. Well, don't see that every day. Immigration papers, not a local boy. Came all the way down from Manchukuo, looks like. Stranger usually come from the Republic. 2 identities, no sight of our witness anywhere. Fishy as hell. It does sink a fish. Let's do a final sweep and go to the next name on the list. The quicker the better. If only for the sake of our noses. Brazil's 100 days. Yeah. If I can... It would be nice to have, Spear win. I don't know if, there should be any mutinies to determine the fact, but... Fellow representatives, guardians of our executive and legislative institutions, and adversaries he'd have to wrestle with during his entire tenure, Matsushita offered a bitter smirk to himself as he stood in front of a legislative council complex, the gaze of exactly 198 eyeballs locked upon him. As head of Matsushita Electric, chief benefactor of the state of Guangdong, it is once again my utmost honor to be nominated amongst equally qualified men as its overseer and humble servant. He stifled another smirk as a wave of murmurs and nodding heads washed over the crowd approaching before him, exactly the intended reaction. This was how his prestige, and that of the Matsushita name, would be reaffirmed, and the other corporations acknowledged and appeased. The tenuous hours of redrafts had seen to it. And at this very moment, the very existence of our state stands at its precipice. I appeal to your conscience, your rational desires for everlasting prosperity. We seek not enemies, only partners. Only wholehearted cooperation will save us from our predicament, and it is cooperation we shall commit ourselves to forevermore. Whom exactly these meticulously crafted words were directed at, not even Matsushita knew. Perhaps it was Morita or Ibuka, along with the outsiders from Cheongkong and Hitachi, or perhaps it was part of the Matsushita family that always refused to embrace him. His mind drifted back to Osaka, to Konosuke's growingly distant gaze. Let the old man see for himself the merit to the art of compromise, through which, and which alone, the Matsushita Empire would adapt and endure. As he finally lifted his head from the podium, there were no thunderous roars and cheers, only lukewarm applause. But applause was enough, so Matsushita closed his eyes, content. A decent start. So we have 40 seats on the council, which is very nice to see. Certainly. Yeah, let's go ahead and assess the situation. It's currently apparent to everyone that Guangdong has not been fairly adequated for quite some time. The responsibilities of handling the problems smoothly now fall into the hands of Chief Executive Matsushita. As such, we require clear reports and assessments of the current state of Guangdong to determine just how deep Guangdong's issues lay. No matter what, it is necessary that this matter be elucidated before any direct action takes place in order to ensure maximum efficiency and swiftness in eliminating any trouble towards a smooth recovery. Tachi, the massive marauders, the king of clam, the daimyo of dicks. True. Massage marauders. I love that. Look at that. Increase control. And Momai. I'm trying to figure out what to do here. We got control here, so I'm not too worried about elsewhere. We could really use a boost in Chokai. So I'll get working on Chokai. Peugeot has been elected. 45 days till the next cycle. These guys have won. Matsushita's first day as chief executive began with a report from Commissioner Tsuchida, Miyazaki's replacement. Wasted no time in delivering a hefty list of his station's deficiencies before the working man's day began. Pleased, the chief executive signed off on his one minor request: a new management cash bonus for every man in the force. Before the ink dried, another document laid on his office desk, Yokoi's. Matsushita would describe his financial secretary as a grounded visionary, eager and full of ideas, but not so zealous that they would chase the sun before learning to fly. By late morning, Matsushita's secretary arranged a meeting between the men later in the week. I think that's just a normal fascist guy, I think. Peugeot. A letter from Ibuka somehow found itself sandwiched between the busy man's reports. Matsushita fed it to a paper shredder and graded with his namesake. No worries if he guessed its contents wrongly. The man will reiterate it in person regardless. The contraption continued to whir and cut as the chief executive left for lunch. On things went afterwards. Reports in all forms, reports from years prior and the present, from matters of state to matters of discretion. Matsushita poured through them exactingly, one after the other, their faces digested by ravenous appetite, veiled by his unassuming mind. No details was spared, unless its absence leave his vision for Guangdong deficient. The sun had already sunk beneath Port Shori by the time Matsushita finished. Unnerved from the work, yet invigorated by its findings, the company man left his office brimming with solutions great and small. Tomorrow will be as fruitful, no doubt. Proper facts and sound answers go hand in hand. Actual chat move, lol. Well. Well, shoot, we still have some time. Let's do steady steps on an uncertain path. The key to a stable career is a good image, something that will forge you a legacy on the annals of history. I can't speak. I don't know what's wrong with me. Nobody's more aware of this than Chief Executive Matsushita. In order to secure our position in the present and our memory in the future, we need to take measures for our reputation, mainly in the handling of problems, whether they are concrete or invisible. The first few years of your tenure are crucial for Matsushita, as it determines how the populace remembers him, how the history remembers him, and how the world remembers him. True enough. Biak is invading Tartarstan, okay. Ooh. Perone returns. Come on, Comey. I have 2 subs riding on the line for this. That's not... I don't know if it's looking good for them. Autosave, right. Got a lot of options to do. Mass enemy defections. Maybe. I'm trying to figure out what we want to do first. Do we want to go at after corruption or bureaucrats? I'm trying to figure out what we want to do. That is tempting. That is tempting. I might work on economy immediately. Let's work on realizing Guangdong's potential, methinks. Guangdong, before the Yasuda crisis, was a shining star. As a nexus of corporate interest, it boasted one of the fastest growing economies in the sphere, rivaling that of the co-equal sphere members. Alas, the crisis struck us down from the sky like a hunter shoots down a bird. But Guangdong is no ordinary bird. It is a phoenix born again in the ashes of strife, more majestic than ever. Our economy, with the right guidance, could reach newfound heights in value and growth than ever seen before. Matsushita, our new chairman, will be the guiding hand. With his control of one of the 5 largest companies here in Guangdong and his connections with the rest of corporations, Matsushita will tap into the nation's potential and usher us into a golden age of prosperity and profit. I kind of just want to see what happens. I don't want to affect things too much in the world, although Spear's going to lose at this rate, so we won't have Germany as a trading partner. We are going with status quo, guy, correct. That's probably the best way to describe Matsushita. Here, and here. Financial Secretary Yokoi Hideki stepped back from the paper map laid on the chief minister's table, snapping shut his red pen. Encircled on it were names such as Shantou, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, small towns along the winding coast, though sparse, underbuilt, and dim before the 3 pearls incandescents. Yet there too lay both potential and foundation. Potential for boom and growth, and the foundation of Matsushita's Guangdong. Namesake CEO idly traced invisible lines from red circles to red circle, from hinterland to shoreline, road and track, crisscrossing Guangdong's breadth like stitches binding it whole, as the circles became cities. Provinces idling farmers, becoming productive workers for new factories sprouting up like rice stalks after monsoon. A vision so promising of the lavishments of Hong Kong, his fellow executives had proposed seemed myopic. Satisfied, Matsushita said, "This plan of ours, how soon can we begin?" "I've met with the contractor on and off beforehand. Assuming the council's continued support, then we should have laborers at their site within the week. A great game is taking shape." We're literally a CCP here. Oh my god. Dangism. Spear moment. I think we'll go ahead and we'll pack them into cities. The cities of Guangdong are the industrial heart of our economy and our nation as a whole. Matsushita has ordered the government to move civilians from the countryside to urban areas, dubbing the policy mandatory urbanization. Mandatory urbanization should increase the output of our industry to the extreme and gives companies a chance to grow in size. Many are forced to relocate to cities against their will, and many more are outraged about seeing their friends and countrymen hauled away to work in factories. Their opinions are irrelevant, as if we would listen to the cries of a bunch of barbaric backwater peasant farmers. Oh. Ooh. There may yet be hope for the Tsarevich. Dangler built Shenzhen into a big-ass city, so literally Dangism. I know. That was They said the city never sleeps, but in the strictest terms, this is only true of the main streets, landmarks, and central thoroughfares which conjured up the tourist's image of Hong Kong, whose lights could never extinguish, lest their representations perish with them. Beyond the main stage, an immense mass of blackened scaffolding ran for stretches incomparable even to their residents, beyond the particularities inescapable to those caught within, yet unknowable to those without. And yet, even when the tourist camera did not graze, but in passing, the city could never truly sleep. Scarcely came a time when every lamp in every block was extinguished. Instead, various yellow-orange patterns flickered around the hive. Different configurations of hedonism, insomnia, and surreptitiousness swirled around countless particularities. In one desolate window nestled within a maze of streets, the lingering flame did not remain constant, but flashed to the rhythm of percussion, ephemeral moments bringing their own permanence. The officers who barged into the apartment had never been in this part of town before. Upon entering, could only recreate the block from elements already within their mind and from the rhythm of their lives. The same bags of opium and heroin, the same dead or bleeding perps, the same filth whose ritual purging defined their existence. When they found the half-decayed shell of an officer who'd tread this place before, however, lines of particularity became unavoidable. Fragments of place would linger even after. A million lingering threads, lost in ephemera. So I thought if Hong Kong is dropped from the corporate slave state, then Hong Kong cinema wouldn't be a thing, at least in the West. You've probably never seen a Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee movie. This is why TNO is the worst timeline. This is why. We get out of the police. Excellent support in Chosu and Hong Kong. Which one's Chosu? I could probably get behind that, actually. And that'll reduce our corruption a little bit. I'll do it. We could modernize some units as well. Spend a little on debt and political power. I'll do that so we can catch up a little bit and compare to the other ones. Although, we are going to have to save the rest of political power because we have a new, we'll have a campaign coming up soon. Yeah, I think we're good. Let's see. Matsushita has my attention. So what do we got from Matsushita? The T100 transistor radio. Okay, let's look at target and market. Okay, interesting. So we could sell to the Italians, the Iberians, the Turks, the Mexicans, the Brazilians, the Argentines, the Chileans. That's actually really cool. We got a lot of options. Mainly related to profitability, it seems. Although we could get some, Can you pick multiple? I think we can only pick one target market. I think I'm going to pick Turkey. Above average profitability as a result. Behind market decisions. Now how many days? We have 100 days. We'll push the launch forward. Because I feel confident enough that we'll do okay. I think we'll loan some engineers from Japan, because I believe we have that, And then I think we have a little bit of room to get some extra corruption, so I'll do bribe channels for TV airtime. That's where we will start. We'll probably evolve from there as needed. Oh shit. I think my roommates are going to start playing music soon, which is not going to be good for my copyright. Oops. Autosave. Yeah, we'll target this to the Turks. Turkish people love radios. I assume. That's what I'm going to go with, at least. That's interesting. I haven't seen Guangdong win before, so this is interesting change of pace. Could hire more skilled engineers. I think I'll go ahead and do that. Nixon resigns. I don't know what else to do, research-wise. A little out of time on that, but we'll get working towards it. Grab the dart rifle we made a couple streams ago, and the Osika mode on your roomy sound system. I could do that. Oh, Spear's actually winning too. I'm not even doing anything. And he's kicking ass. Let's give promises of an easier life. In order to encourage further immigration into the cities, we need and keep existing residents from bewailing. We need to advertise and offer some support. Though funds are always scarce and need to be treasured, the support we'll be offering won't be substantial. Of course, news of his generosity will be broadcasted and show to the populace. The media would certainly prove to be useful in this aspect, also not putting immense strain on the budget. Extra GPD growth, and as well as limited relocation benefits, will be added to our sort of laws. How's our poverty looking? Our poverty's growing. That's not nice. It's not very nice at all. It was an unexpectedly rainy day in Guangdong as Hiroshi Yamauchi scurried into Nintendo's office, taking refuge at a small newsstand as the raid intensified. While he patted himself dry, he couldn't help but notice all the big newspapers had the same big headline: Matsushita Masaharu, chief executive. The bold typeface screamed, "A new executive, huh?" Yamauchi thought to himself, handing the vendor a 250 yen note for a newspaper, as he picked up one from the stand. Opening up and perusing through the front page, he quickly realized that this was hardly a new executive. Matsushita promising cooperation and united prosperity to the Legislative Council, all things he and the rest of Guangdong had already heard before. Yes, Nintendo. This guy, it's just gonna be the same thing. Why even bother with a new chief executive? They're just the same shit coated with some new paint. He quipped to the vendor, who replied with a nod. Then it hit him. Matsushita's ascendancy to the executive office meant that Nintendo could appeal to investors by rubbing shoulders with the preeminent corporations in Guangdong and thrust into the consumer electric market. As the rain slowly died down, Yamauchi ran quickly towards Nintendo's office to begin drafting a pitch and scheduling a meeting with Guangdong's new boss. New paint on the same canvas. I don't know if you guys can hear the pounding disco right now, but it is pounding, let me assure you. We already have middling quality already. Some shit is going on in Siam. What will give me extra big support? I don't want to piss off. We'll use some underworld contacts for interest. Because interest is where we're really starting to struggle at. We're already at middling quality and low interest. So not bad at all. I don't know why forcing the police to prototype it makes them lose control, but the Kenpai Tai has them increase support. I know why for gameplay balance reasons, but otherwise that doesn't make sense. That doesn't to me. That might just be me. We have plenty of Japanese expat support, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll sacrifice a little bit of that. Lozano elected president of Mexico. Novosibirsk and Central Siberia. Good for them. Inshallah. Great quality product already. I think I'll buy up the ads. Herr Speer has fun? Wunderbar. I'll do, I guess I'll research prototype, it doesn't matter. Li Mei's arms possessed a wiry strength that surprised many who witnessed it, as she held a particularly hefty grocery shop bag. To her house, she was a shop bag? Oh, I think she means a card. That means a card. I understand now. Hello. Let's see. Oh, shit. I lost my place. As she held a particularly hefty grocery bag shot back to her house, she was aware of the double takes and even the occasional gawp in her direction. She marched on without so much as a second thought. What she was not used to was anyone offering to help. May did not know how to react when a sturdy man approached her, asking her if he could carry some of the weight for her. To begin with, she refused, eyeing him with suspicion as he tried to press her on with her journey. However, he did not relent. Sorry to bother you. My family and I are new to the city. We haven't gotten used to the way things are here yet. We don't really know anyone around here either, and I get lost all the time. May replied with a cautious yet understanding nod. She clung onto her bags as she continued the conversation. Where are you trying to get to? The nearest bus stop. It's just down the road, tucked behind the third road on the left. She gestured as best she could, but the weight of the bags made it difficult. I wish you and your family the best. I'm sure you will become familiar with the place soon enough. I hope you will. Farm work was never easy, and from what we heard, life here is heaven by comparison. Stable income, sturdy roof, no more worrying about weather every minute of every hour of every day. I couldn't ask for much more for myself or my children. And thank you. You're very kind for helping me. I won't forget it. What he said was nothing more than wishful thinking, and May knew it, but she could not quite bring herself to tell this man. The sores on his hands were still fresh in places. At least they would be used to the punishing process of whatever factory snatched him up. If he was lucky to get a job at all. Perhaps his optimism is misplaced. It probably is. Do we want to do an ordinance? I don't know if we want to do an ordinance, honestly. We could get a quick seat real quick going down this route. So I think I'll set us up for next time. How about that? We'll lean into our greatest partner. It's very apparent that Guangdong has been struggling monetarily for quite a while now, to the point where, in order to stabilize the budget, we need to look towards external sources of support. Japan has always nurtured us in the state's infancy, but we may have to look for a bailout from our greatest partner. Undoubtedly, Japan will not be pleased initially by our request, but them accepting it is essential for the prosperity of the state, even means we are forced to resort to begging. My fellow Guangdongers, I've just signed a law to outlaw Manchukuo forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes. And with that, goodbye.